so that Mr. Larry Bell from Marketing and Communications can go ahead and have us fully live streamed on the city's YouTube channel.
All right. November 17th, 2022 p.m. Winston-Salem College Advisory Board meeting is now called to order. Madam Secretary Solis Page, can you take the roll call, please?
Yes. Ian Brewster, Forsyth Tech. Sophie Brown, Wake Forest University.
Present.
Myra Ramirez, Salem College.
Present.
Faith Springs, Forsyth Tech. Curtis Walker, Forsyth Tech.
Present.
Allie Morton, Wake Forest.
Present.
Bruce Williams III, Winston-Salem State.
Present.
Judavian King, Winston-Salem State.
Present.
And we have two requests for excused absences from Cameron Allen and Kaylee Kimmer.
All right, thank you. Would someone make a motion for the approval of minutes from last meeting?
Mr. Chair, we would need for you all for someone to make a motion to approve the excused absence requests. And
Oh, yeah, that's right.
call vote.
You're right. I stand to be corrected. Someone make a motion to approve the absences.
I make a motion to approve the absences.
Will someone second the motion?
I will second the motion.
Madam Secretary, we take a roll call. Paulina,
Yes.
can you take a roll call vote on the approval?
Yes. Myra
Thank you.
Ramirez,
Yay.
Allie Morton,
Yes.
Sophie Brown,
Yay.
Curtis Walker,
Yay.
Bruce Williams III,
Yes.
Judavian King.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Paulina, did you vote as well?
No, Paulina, yay.
Okay. You.
Are there any nays?
Any
Paulina?
nays? No. Okay, thank you.
Motion is approved. The ayes have it. And now will someone make a motion to approve the minutes? Approve the minutes of this week, of last meeting. Anyone?
I make the motion.
Will someone second the motion?
I second the motion.
Secretary, can you take a vote on the motion, please?
Yes. Myra Ramirez,
Yay.
Allie Morton,
Yay.
Sophie Brown,
Yay.
Curtis Walker,
Yay.
Bruce Williams III,
Yay.
Judavian King,
Yay.
Paulina, yay.
Great job, Paulina.
Any nays? Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we
Yes.
have to ask you all to please do somewhat of an amended vote for the minutes from the September meeting, was it not, Jamie? Because we noticed that the actual roll call was not included in the minutes, and the roll call is supposed to be included in the minutes. And so Paul had a chance to correct it for your last meeting in October, but Cameron did the minutes for September. And so we just need for CAB to vote to approve that the minutes can be amended to include the September roll call.
After hearing that, will someone make a motion for the minutes to be amended that includes the roll call for the September 23rd meeting?
I make
I
a
make
motion.
a motion.
All right, will someone second the motion?
I second.
Secretary, would you take the roll call?
Yes. Myra Ramirez,
Yay.
Allie Morton,
Yay.
Sophie Brown,
Yay.
Curtis Walker,
Yay.
Bruce Williams III,
Yay.
Jadavian King,
Yay.
Paulina Page, yay. Any nays? Thank you.
Okay, the motion carries. And now we'll move on to our general business. We will start, the first thing with the committee meetings. I'll assume that we haven't had an opportunity to do that just as of yet. But we'll go through and especially deal with the public relations. I didn't see if I didn't hear if Cameron was here or not. I keep missing it. Cameron is not here. Okay, so
And I have she sent me over a file of some of the newsletter notes.
okay,
She said that Jamie's working on assembling them into like the right format, but I have like the unassembled version. And she didn't say anything specific about like relaying information, but I do have that file if we want to reference it at all.
okay. Ali, do you happen to know, or Ms. Walden, do you happen to know if there are enough articles for the newsletter already, considering that information?
I am looking at it. Let me see. Okay, I'm looking at it right now, and she's got the listing of all of the people on CAB, and then she's got a letter from the chair by you, Curtis, and then we have an article from Bruce, and we have an article from the Public Relations Committee, and then 2 that she's written. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a letter from the chair.
Okay, thank you, Ali. Ms. Jamie, will that be enough for you?
Yes, and I have started working on it. I do not have it finished, but I can get it to you all. I will email it out as soon as I do have it finished so that you can see it and approve it before we send it, put it online.
Okay, thank you. I guess then we'll deal with the government. So if I'm correct, Ian is not here.
He's not.
That's right. Okay, so that would be government and committee reports. Also, Faith is not here.
Is there anyone from government though?
I'm on the Governmental Affairs Committee, but I was not at the last meeting, so I am not up to date at all, really.
Okay. Ali, could you get with Ian via email and ask him where he stands?
I can
Any of
shoot
that?
it over.
Okay. And also, as far as the community projects as well, is there anybody on that committee that's here? Is there anybody who would like to be on that committee so we could get you on the committee on either one of the government, public relations, or community projects? No. Okay. And so that will conclude, I guess, the committee meetings and committee reports. So now we'll move on to the annual project, the 2020-2021 Collegiate Trust Talks. Ms. Wanda, do you have something to say about that?
Chair Walker, actually, in terms of the committees, CAB can have general discussions about the committees in terms of government affairs, public relations, and community relations. If there's any discussion or any questions, just in general from CAB as a whole. I know one thing that CAB usually does is they make sure to attend a city council meeting as a group. And so unfortunately, I don't know, did anybody attend the council meeting last night?
No.
Okay, so yeah, there was one last night, and there of course are upcoming city council meetings. So it may be that maybe there could be discussion about when a good date may be for CAB to do that this semester. And of course, time is running out for this semester.
Right.
And Amy, can you tell them what the date is for the next city council meeting? Well, probably the one in December. And while Jamie's trying to find that, because we know, of course, it will be on a Monday, but we just need to make sure that maybe that's something that you have on your radar, because all it would require is that you all just watch the meeting virtually. And so I would highly recommend that you do that in the early part of December. And then, of course, for the second semester, you can choose at that time.
Also, Ms. Wanda, the city council meeting, isn't that recorded that we can actually go back and watch it? Is that right?
Can, but yeah, you can. But the idea is for you all to kind of do it together as a group, because the mayor likes to recognize when any of the advisory boards are doing that. And last, the youth council did that. And he
Yeah.
acknowledged the youth council and thanked them for their service. And so that would be one of the reasons why it would be good for y'all to do it when it's live.
So December 7th would be the first city council meeting in December,
And time?
7 p.m.
Standard time. Okay.
Yes, so can you all note that? Thank you, Jamie. And perhaps you can consider attending that as a group. And then we can let the mayor and city council know that you're doing that. And then that way you can be acknowledged during the meeting, and you can also observe.
Thank
Is
you,
that
Ms. Wanda.
everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
And on the note of the committees, does everybody remember what the committees are and what they quote unquote do? If there's any questions or any of that, because I know we have a few first year members on CAB. Does everybody remember? Anything? Nothing?
Oh,
Everybody
sure, you all remember the committees.
Are we asking if we remember the committees or if...
Yeah, and what they do, and
Areas of focus. Sophie has her hand up too. Myra, were you speaking as well?
Yeah, I remember a little bit. We talk about the community, community involvement committee, and I think we picked leaders for that. So I just have a question. So if they're doing like the
and so with public relations, I had the opportunity to attend the Pride Festival, Martin Luther King Day, Martin Luther King Jr. event, also as well as I can't remember the exact title, but it was the gentrification symposium, as well as a couple of other events to report on those events as public relations. And if you look into the 2019 newsletters, you'll see some of the events that we were covering and some of the information in the newsletters. So each committee has an opportunity to do something special. And even at government, because I was on government committee as well last year, I got an opportunity to attend several city councils. And so when you're on the committee, it's more than just being there, but it's actually being involved. So if you're on a government or community or public relations, definitely be involved and find out exactly how you can be involved, and then try and take your leadership skills to the next level. Sophie, you had something.
I'm wondering how feasible things will be happening next semester, starting in 2021 with COVID, and whether or not there would even be opportunities to go to events or things like that.
Yeah, and there's just no way of knowing that since we are still in the middle of a global pandemic. There's just no way to predict it. I wish there was a way to know.
Do we
But
have any word on the Martin Luther King brunch that we all attended last year? Do we know any updates about that yet?
we have not heard anything, Allie, because that is something that the Winston-Salem Chronicle leads on, and the city is usually one of the sponsors. But we have not heard anything to date. Our assumption is it may not happen this year, given the restrictions and the rising numbers across North Carolina. And so just we don't know what anything is going to look like come January or thereafter. But I just want you all to know that there will be opportunities that may be virtual opportunities for you to join in, to watch, observe, participate, and so on. And so that is why we try to make sure that you know about some of the things that we're doing as a department, but the city as a whole will definitely have things going on virtually. And one such thing, which we're segueing into the next item on the agenda, is the National League of Cities project. And of course, you all are familiar with that. But I wanted to ask Myra if she would mind briefing you on her understanding of the project or the actual grant, and then just telling you a little bit about what CAB's role will be in that. That is a huge way for CAB to be involved directly in working with Mayor Joines and the City Council.
And also, Ms. Wanda, one of the things, the virtual events that we did last year that may come up again this year, I'm not sure, was the SDLP. So that might be something along the lines that you were talking about, Ali and Sophie. Okay, and now the Collegiate Trust Talks. I don't know exactly.
Oh, Curtis,
how,
we're going to give Myra a chance to brief everyone.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
We skipped over it. Sorry.
That's all right.
Myra.
Yeah, I've been on we've been on a couple of meetings with Cornelius Brown from WSSU, and we have talked about like kind of what the strategic plan it is, and we're talking about gathering information to see where we're at with the two programs, the housing security and hunger. So we talked about, like, for housing, for example, the first year is going to be strategic, and the second one is going to be implementing the plan we developed. So we talked about collecting information of where students, where off-campus students are living, and what access they have to, what resources are available for them, what partnerships the school has with any, apartments around the area and things like that. And we wanted to talk to y'all about what is the best way to gather that information, because we talked about sending out a survey, but we didn't know which is best. Like a Google survey is really easy, but I don't know if people will be motivated to do it. We talked about like sending a text and having the survey on it, but I don't know if that will be I don't know if people would do it. So we're trying to get the most participation for the survey. And we also need to discuss like what kind of questions we want to include in the survey, because all of us are college students. So do y'all have any ideas of what questions you want to include on the survey? And the last thing would be to motivate students to participate. We want to give out like a gift card for a local restaurant or something, maybe like a chain, so they can use it at different places. So I don't know if you had any ideas for that as well that you wanted to talk about.
Thank you, Myra. And so, yes, that was a great summary, but the main thing is that CAB needs to have a clear understanding of the NLC grant. And remember that, yes, as Myra said, it is two-sided. This is a twofold thing. There's a housing focus to make sure students have affordable housing, because we understand that housing is very unstable for many, many students right now, not just because of the usual financial circumstances that some students face, but because of COVID-19. A lot of students who were working part-time or who might have been relying on relatives who were working may now not have those sources of income because of the restrictions that have been in place. And so some people may have had to quit jobs or they lost their jobs. And so the whole thing about the NLC is to make sure that you all as college students are able to graduate with focusing on school and not having to worry about things like housing and worrying about things like food security. And so we have the housing side, like Myra talked about, in terms of trying to gauge how many students have housing issues. And if they do have housing issues, what kinds of issues do they have? Because that will help to dictate how the city and Winston-Salem State University, which is the lead college here in Winston-Salem who's partnering on this, to try to help figure out a way to help all college students to address that housing issue. The food side, similar deal. Here in Forsyth County, there are a lot of challenges with food security. And so we do have someone on the call today who is an expert with food security and insecurity here in Winston-Salem and Forsyth County. and her name is Miss Tiffany. She's on the call. She is a city employee. She's been involved with Mayor Jones's Think Orange campaign. She's been one of the lead staff persons on that, and she has been on the NLC calls. And so Tiffany, would you mind talking a little bit about the food insecurity issue with respect to college students?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually don't have a lot of data or percentages specifically for college students. That's an area of data, a growing body of data that we're trying to collect across the state. But if you can just imagine 1 in 4 children under the age of 18 in our city experience hunger or food insecurity, and 1 in 7 residents as a whole, so that includes anyone, experiences food insecurity. So you can probably imagine that college number is going to be somewhere between that 4 and 7. So that paints a pretty good picture about what that looks like. As far as hunger goes, we're still ranked pretty highly on a list of metropolitan statistical areas experiencing hunger. And if you take that into account, and also the growing rates of unemployment, considering all those factors, it's not a pretty picture, right? And that does have a significant impact on food insecurity. Sorry, my voice keeps going in and out. And also housing stability. And so, I think we have the opportunity on a more micro level scale to partner with WSSU to kind of quantify those numbers. There's universities across the state that are trying to do this now. And so perhaps you all can help WSSU to create that survey in a way that gives us information about what college students have access to in terms of making a meal, and then also just their experiences of hunger. That's an area of need. We don't have concrete numbers on this population.
Awesome, Ms. Tiffany, and thank you for that. And so as you see, we would need your feedback and involvement, Cab, not only from the housing side of the coin, but also from the food insecurity side of it. And so just wanted to know what your thoughts were, what your questions are, because you are one of the lead organizations involved in this whole National League of Cities initiative. And also, I know we have Bruce and Jadavian on the call from Winston-Salem State. They work very closely with Mr. Cornelius Graves, who is our lead person from WSSU. So Bruce and Jadavian, do you have anything that you'd like to add? And by the way, Cab, all cameras should be on because, again, this is a public meeting that's being streamed. So there's a way for you to have your camera on. Make sure you have it on. Thank you.
Hold on. I guess for me, what is the direct correlation between the NLC and Winston? Because it's I know for me, the SGA president wanted more insight as to how is Winston being utilized in a sense.
Okay, the National League of Cities, Bruce, is an organization for local municipalities, just in terms of government. And so they are a professional organization that brings all municipalities together from across the United States. So what they do is they try to help municipalities with identifying community needs, gaps in service, and so on, in a way that they can partner. And so the National League of Cities has all types of opportunities for municipalities to get involved with community organizations like our local post-secondary institutions, for instance. And this new initiative called the Community of Practice is one of their newer ways to try to incentivize city governments and post-secondary institutions to work together on a common problem. And so it is in the city's best interest, of course, to see the success of college students. We want college students to succeed. We want college students also to help hopefully find opportunities here in Winston-Salem so that they can work and thrive professionally after graduation. But certainly until that point, we have a vested interest in seeing college students do well. And so that's how the city of Winston-Salem comes into play. And we're being asked to examine policies and ordinances that we may be able to change to help out in these two problem areas that we've identified. We've identified, like I said, hunger and housing. So we're looking from our side, from the city side, at what policies or practices can be changed to help college students to have better access to affordable housing and to have better access to food. And so from Winston-Salem State side of the coin, of course, they have college students, obviously, because they're a university. And so they are going to also try to see what problems the students have on their campus and how the city may be able to assist, how we may be able to partner to address those problems.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, Bruce.
Ms. Wanda, just springboarding from that, I had the opportunity to talk to a Reverend William Bass. He runs the Share Cooperative of Winston-Salem, and so they have taken the, I guess they're proactive, and they've identified the majority of the food deserts, speaking specifically for hunger. I don't know, I'm not from Winston, so I don't know if it's the east or west. I just know it's by Peters Creek Parkway and all the areas from that part all the way downtown from 6th Street School. And so that might be an avenue to get some of his insights, the hunger issues that are there, and as well as for Forsyth Tech. Obviously, we do a lot of feeding at Forsyth Tech because we recognize that sometimes that may be the only meal that some of the students that come on campus will get for that day. And I was thinking when you were speaking about, is it possible CAB could probably create some type of universal survey that we could, I guess, implement and develop and initiate on every single campus, whether it be Salem or Wake Forest or Winston-Salem State University. And that way we could get some feedback from all of the student population collectively, some of the issues pertaining to hunger.
And that's a great idea, Curtis. And in terms of the hunger and the pockets of hunger, Miss Tiffany, who spoke earlier, I know probably works with many of these organizations, and she does have an awareness of where these pockets are. And she is our city go-to person, city government go-to person. So she works with a lot of the organizations out in the community in terms of addressing or understanding where the pockets of hunger are. But definitely, yes, I think that's a good idea. It would be a good use of CAB's time to develop a survey that can be used on multiple campuses. And so I think what we should do at this point is try to figure out which members of CAB would be interested in working on the NLC initiative, specifically in the area of housing, and then specifically in the area of food insecurity, because we can make sure that you are included on the Zoom calls that we have with Winston-Salem State and other stakeholders, as we're trying to create a Winston-Salem cohort. We've been asked by the NLC, each city has been asked to create teams or cohorts from their respective cities to be on the NLC calls whenever we have those, which is not very often, but we still need to have representation from CAB. So is there anyone in particular who'd be interested in working on the housing side, being in the loop and maybe working specifically to develop survey questions? And then for food, do we have people who are interested in that?
Sophie and I do a lot of work with Campus Kitchen, and Campus Kitchen is one of the largest food security organizations that we have operating at Wake Forest. And so Sophie is a public relations for Campus Kitchen, and I'm the chair of policy and advocacy for them. And so I think that we would be able to contribute kind of valuable discourse in those conversations in terms of the food security.
That sounds awesome, Allie.
Excellent. And Allie, I would like to partner with the hunger as well.
Awesome.
Okay, so we can make a note that we have Allie. Sophie, you're good with that too, right? Okay, we have Allie, Sophie, and Curtis who are interested in working on the NLC food initiative.
So are you saying people besides me, or like, because I would like to do it too if I can, but.
Oh, Bruce, you're a given because you're at Winston-Salem State. You're at our lead institution. So look,
I was just clarifying.
You're probably going to be doing both, you and
Okay.
Julian. And so is there anyone who's interested in working on housing? You don't have to pick one or the other, but I know that some of you have areas of interest. And so that's why I wanted to give you a chance. if you wanted to pick one or the other. And you can, like I said, you could do both if you want. But anybody have a special interest in housing?
I'm doing kind of both right now, but I'll do housing.
Okay. Thank you, Myra.
I can join Myra with the housing part.
Okay, thank you, Paulina. And I know we have some members who are absent, so they'll have an opportunity also to choose. But definitely remember what you're saying, that you have an interest in a particular area, and we'll make sure to include you on those calls that we do that's focused just on one area at a time. Eventually, we're going to have collective meetings where everybody's on board at the same time. But right now, we're trying to shore up both sides for housing and for food. And so for you food folks, what we need for you is to work on some survey questions for your peers so that we can figure out what the food insecurities are looking like amongst your peers. That's going to be critical because that will help us have a sense of direction in terms of, okay, what do we do? What do we need to do? And as far as you housing folks, same deal. We need for you to think about and work on some survey questions that pertain to housing affordability and access for your peers. So that's going to be really important. Miss Tiffany, is there, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Is there anything that we need to speak specifically to CAB about that we haven't already mentioned?
We talked a lot about the farmers market piece. I don't know if you want me to mention that.
Please, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so on our meeting, Myra was a part of that, but with WSSU, we also spoke about perhaps the opportunity for students at WSSU to use their RAM card, which is their student card at local farmers markets, and using that as if, they were going to the dining hall to get a regular meal, but being able to apply those dollars in that way. And so we had a lot of discussion about, how can we bring that food to campus, or how can we make it an opportunity for those students to actually visit markets and use that card. And so we were just throwing that idea around. I know WSSU is going to go back internally to see logistics wise, how can that be processed? And I was to, in the interim, speak with some of our farmers markets to assess interest. And I will say that Fairgrounds Farmers Market was definitely interested. Hope of Winston-Salem's new market was definitely interested, and Cobblestone Farmers Market was very interested. I work with Liberty Street Farmers Market, but we are just finishing up our pilot phase, so I won't have an answer on that end until early next year. But there is a lot of interest in trying to give students access. And I think that that's something, that we start with WSSU, but probably once your universities hear about it and you share with your universities, everyone's going to start wanting to be able to give that access with using those student charge cards or student ID cards to be able to access farmers markets. So that was the other piece, I think, that we had talked about.
Another thing that Tiffany mentioned on the other meeting was giving students recipes as well, not just like giving them the healthy options, but how to use them. I think that was very important part of that too. And I don't know if y'all do recipes or cooking, but it could be something that we can implement into that as well, instead of just buying fast food, which is a lot of what we do, especially as college students.
Yes, there was also, Myra, good point. I forgot about that piece, but someone named Georgine who works with Rhythm Grill and Lounge also joined us for that call. And she's a chef herself. And so she was sharing, like, she'd be thrilled to work with you all to create those recipes that align with items that are available at market. So I think that could ultimately look like a variety of different ways. But since you all are the leading force and kind of generating those ideas.
So CAB, thank you, Ms. Tiffany. And CAB, did you all have any thoughts about any of those ideas with the farmers market? The whole thing was to make sure that fresh food and healthy food would be available to students, not just, fast food and all of that, but something that's actually healthy. So did
I
you
think the farmers market is a good
farmer
idea.
market? Pardon me?
Oh, not to cut you off, but I think the farmers market is a good idea. I know throughout my years on campus, we have been faced with not having like a lot of fresh fruit and a lot of viable, good, actual, vegetables and things like that to eat. And just having that fast food consistently is not something that we all want. I feel like I know there's a lot of people on campus that want healthier options, so I'm definitely in agreement with that.
I think it's a great idea too. I think at Wake Forest, we have a real problem with a lot of students not being engaged in the community and not going off campus because we have such a large percentage of students coming from out of state. And so I think that's a great type of initiative to not only be spreading nutritious and fresh food, but also to be getting students off their campuses into new places and to, be interacting with local vendors and community sources.
Awesome. What are some other thoughts? Okay, what are your thoughts on the surveys? How many questions do you think the survey should be for your age group? You all know what your attention span is like. So how many questions would be too many, or how many questions is just enough? And then what should the questions be? I know that's what you're going to be working on. But what are your thoughts about the survey?
One question is, what platform will we use? Will we use Google or Microsoft Teams to do the survey?
See, that's the question that we were wanting to present to CAB, hoping you all would have a recommendation.
Myra said something about texting the survey, and I don't know if that's a possibility, but I think that's the best way to do it because it's more direct. I think it grabs our attention better than going and opening an email and having to then opening another link and then go ahead and do it.
Right.
The only thing about texting is I'd be worried about security and making sure that it's the people who are receiving the texts actually answering the questions. And I'm not sure how text surveys work, but that's something I would be worried about. Qualtrics to me seems very secure and more anonymous, so we're not getting so much data on who is answering and who specifically, but more so generalized data.
I definitely like the anonymous aspect. And I also think that the problem with texting would probably be populating, because that's a lot of numbers to generate. And I don't necessarily know that the students want everybody to have their number in that case. So I think that we should probably go a different route on that one.
I agree with that point. Yeah, I think it's better to do it either with, email, because schools have the database without emails, so it's easier to send out that massive survey.
Well, do your schools all have a way to text you, like when they need to send a message out about anything? Don't they have a way that they text you anyway?
Yes, they do. But Foresight Tech has a way to text you.
Okay, so does anybody know enough to know whether or not that may be something that your schools would get behind and say, okay, we'll send the survey out on your behalf through whatever means they use to send their text messages to you?
I can tell you that so I'm the SGA president for SITE. So any surveys have to go through, well, it depends on what the survey is, but generally it has to go through the Office of Strategic and Innovation, and for them to approve it, for it to go out to, for it to populate for every student. It also has to go through SLE to be approved. I would say 50-50 on that right now. But depending, because it's coming from CAB, it probably would be successful, but I just know that it is a process at Foresight Tech.
Yeah, I would say if it comes from the city, it's going to be more easy for them to approve the survey than if it comes directly from the school, someone from within the school.
Okay.
I know for me, I'm not too sure on it, but I can find out for you.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Paulina and Curtis. Allie, Myra, Sophie, how is it at your schools? How do you think it would be? How open do you think your schools would be to this kind of survey?
For Salem, text messages, we don't really send out any. We only use like phone numbers when there's like a kind of like a safety issue or something like that. We do just emails. And for Salem, it works maybe because we're smaller, but we have a really good turnout when we send out surveys for for clubs or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
So we use like Google surveys, and they have a pretty good turnout in Salem. I don't know how it will be at other universities though.
I think that we
Visit at
need to.
Wake Forest. How are surveys done? Are they emailed or what?
Generally, they're emailed by specific clubs. As Myra said, that most of our text messages are about flash flood warnings, like we had a couple weeks ago, or emergency communications from the head of the president or the provost office, or more just knowledge-based rather than opinion or student-based stuff.
Okay.
We do have some, we have an Office of Well-Being that does send out a lot of kind of check-in surveys to do with mental health and things like that. And so they distribute their surveys to the entire school. And so I think there is a way, definitely not for text at Wake Forest, but I think that there would definitely be a way to distribute a school-wide survey. And then we would also have to decide if we wanted to send that out to graduate programs or off-campus students who are doing COVID classes from home and everything like that. There would be decisions involved, I guess.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. Well, it does sound like we do need to stick with the emails, Curtis, as you said. It sounds like that would probably be the easiest way, but we would still need for you all as CAB representatives to investigate how we would even get the survey out via email. Like you talked about the Office of Strategic Planning and Office of Wellbeing and stuff like that. We would need their support to help to get it out across campuses. And so you all take on that responsibility to at least find out exactly what it is, what we're up against and whether or not they'd be amenable to that for your respective schools. That would be one assignment for CAB to do for sure, is to find out how we could get the surveys out. And then of course, the second thing is we have to create the surveys. We need questions. And so I don't know how you all think about that. What do you think in terms of the number of questions that should be on the survey?
I think that all right. So we had several questions on tech, and I think that what we tried to do with the questions, we want to make them simple, and obviously we want them to be anonymous, and we don't want to give too many choices. So I think that if we're going to do multiple questions, it should be no more than 3. But if we're going to be a singular question, then it can have 3 options within the question, or a specific, we ask students, what are some of the issues that you are having, being that you've been transitioning from in-person classes to online classes, whether that be transportation or your work schedule, because we found that students were used to turning their works in, their assignments in every couple of weeks. But as an online student, there's a bombardment of assignments and it happens every week, and students were not used to that. So that was a big transition for them, because now they found that the students were getting work piled up and weren't able to keep up. Because online students, it's a totally different arena. So it depends on how we approach the question. Do we want to make it a singular question with multiple answers where you could just check off that I'm having a problem with this, or do you want to make it a 3-part question? So those are 2 different ways that you can go about it.
So Curtis, thank you, Curtis, put out the suggestion of having potentially 3 questions at the most. Do you all agree with that in general, or do you think that's too many or too few?
I mean, I was gonna suggest 5 maybe, just to get more of a answer, not having it too basic, because it's you think about it like this, people probably won't put their heart and soul into these questions. I feel if you tailor it in a sense that it really gives you an idea as to what they're going through, and putting it in a perspective as to they really want to know, so I can get the added resources that I need. I think that would be more effective. So maybe 2 extra questions, so 5 total.
Okay.
I was thinking 10, so I don't know if that's a lot. I was thinking 5 for housing and 5 for hunger. So that way we can get not just like, I think 3 is too little to collect a lot of information that we need. But that's my opinion. So I don't know if that's too much.
I have a question that I think would be effective. Not to cut you off, my bad, but a question that I would ask would probably have to be, have you ever faced going hungry as a child, you know, in comparison to like where you are now? Do you see a lot of those same parallels? And yeah, that would be like one of the questions I would ask, like, what is the difference between what you went through as a child and now in terms of hunger?
Now, see, we have to remember what we're trying to get at is we can do to help people who are experiencing food insecurity right now as a college student. You know, what is it? What are the barriers that are in place? And then we need to figure out how we can remove those barriers, or if we can remove those barriers. And so we really do have to, even though I appreciate that context, Bruce, and someone's background, we really have to get to the point in terms of trying to figure out what barriers there are and ways in which we can remove those barriers. You know, like say for instance, is transportation an issue for you to have access to food or something like that? And then they could just say yes or no or whatever, you know, something like that I'm thinking. As far as housing is concerned, you know, we can come up with a basic question and kind of go from there too, in terms of, you know, are you facing housing insecurity based on affordability, something like that, and then just kind of go from there. But
Also,
I think because that's what the whole goal is, the whole point of these surveys is to figure out what it is that the city and the college institutions can do to help students not have food insecurity and to help students not have housing insecurity.
Ms. Wanda, if I might add also, one of the things that we definitely know about a lot of surveys is that most people don't generally tend to answer honestly when it's about themselves. But if you ask the question where you kind of frame it, that do you know of someone that is experiencing this, they generally give you a better idea of the environment. But when we ask people about themselves, people generally don't want to tell, like if you say, do you have 3 solid meals a day? Most people aren't going to tell you the truth of that, even if they, you know, so
that's a
an
good
idea.
point, I think, Curtis. Miss Tiffany, you want to jump in?
Oh, sure. I mean, I was agreeing with Curtis. I think that that's a very good point to frame the questions in a way that's not specifically asking about them, but the do you know of, or on your campus, do you know if students have access to, you know, microwave or pots and things like that, that give us a sense of if students can even cook on their campus. And to what extent, but and experiences of hunger. I also put a couple of things in the chat as you all are thinking through these surveys. Surveys with incentives do get more answers, and so maybe that's people can opt into winning a gift card for Amazon or something. Obviously, would be opt-in because you don't necessarily want someone's information to be passed through unless they want you to contact them. You see, and then I also put in there it might be beneficial in however many questions you land, although I do think 3 and 5 may be too little. Closer to 10 is probably going to get to where you're able to ask the questions for that get you the answers you need to have a concrete project and implementation. You might want to include some resources, immediate resources for students that need help now. Because you have their attention, they might not know of these resources available to them. So that was just another tidbit I wanted to add.
Those are great. Those are awesome. Thank you. What do you all think? Do you have your wheels kind of churning in terms of potential survey questions? And how long do you think you would need in order to come up with recommended questions? Because what will happen is you all will make these recommendations in terms of the survey questions, and then we will continue to work with Mayor Joines and the Chancellor Robinson over at WSSU and others to make sure that they approve those so that they can go on out on their respective campuses. But you all, in terms of CAB, like WSSU is going to be the lead on it. They're going to be the test group, because with the grant, they were named as the lead institution because studies have shown that a lot of students who are minority students, in particular, students of color, tend to have a lot of barriers that affect their housing accessibility, you know, just in terms of fair housing, affordable housing, and so forth. And then also with hunger, my understanding is that minorities have a tendency to be impacted when it comes to having food security and access. And so that is why WSSU is the lead post-secondary institution, because they are our local HBCU. However, as has been already stated, we definitely can see if the other colleges and universities are interested in having them on board with this, because this is a community partnership. And so it's certainly not to the exclusion of any institution. So if they want to jump on board, that would be phenomenal. But in the meantime, we just need to make sure that those who need to approve the questions and approve the survey can do so. So we do need to have a timeline in place. We need to have a deadline in mind for getting the survey questions ready.
Ms. Wanda, I was thinking when you were speaking, similar to where we did collegiate trust talks last year, we kind of generated, I guess, a bunch of questions. Then we selected the ones that we actually wanted to use. So I was thinking that if everyone, if we're going to, depending on the amount of questions that we're giving and whether the question is single and it has multiple options in it, maybe everyone could generate a list, particularly if you're in the housing, you can generate a list for housing. If you're in hunger, you can generate a list for the hunger. And then we could take all of those questions and then narrow them down into the actual questions that we would like to use.
Great suggestion, Curtis. What's everyone else think about that?
I'm all for it.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. All right then, so it sounds like that would require you all to try to get back together within the coming weeks before the semester is over, or let's just say before the calendar year ends. Let's put it that way, because I know semesters end at variant times depending on where you are going to school. So we need to definitely have a vote. If you all are on board with coming up with the survey questions, and if you are okay with how we somewhat have this loosely organized, as far as some folks are working on both housing and food, some are focusing on just one or the other. We just need a couple of motions and we need a couple of votes to move forward, please.
Before we move forward, do we want to set up a deadline for the questions? Like, I think it's important to say either by the end of the month or, you know, the first week of December, because if we don't, I feel like most of us are going to be busy with the end of the semester. So it's going to go up. So do you only have a deadline, a week, by the end of the month? I don't know. What do y'all think?
Should we see when is everyone's finals so that we don't intervene with that as well? So I don't know when Wake Forest or Salem College has finals, or when your semester ends.
We have finals between the 7th, or I guess technically the 4th, and the 11th. And then we are finished with the semester.
Okay. And Salem College?
For Salem is the second week of December. So I feel like we should need to do it before then for most of us, so we don't have to think about that and then finals.
WSSU, when are your finals?
I know the last day of class is the 20th, as Jadavian stated in the chat. So I would probably say the first week in December, most likely.
Okay.
So would it be okay to set the deadline for November the 30th or December 1st? What do you think works better for all of you?
December 1st sounds good to me. I think I could make that work.
That's a Tuesday, right, you all?
Yes.
Okay. But even if you informally agree on December the 1st, somebody still has to make a motion, and we have to go through the formal protocol.
Okay. I make the motion for the deadline to be December the 1st for the survey questions.
Anyone second the motion? I'm sorry.
I'll second the motion.
And you take the vote.
Myra Ramirez,
Yay.
Ellie Morton,
Yay.
Sophie Brown,
Yay.
Curtis Walker,
Yay.
Bruce Williams III,
Yay.
Jadavian King,
Yay.
Paulina Solis, yay. Any nays? Thank you.
Okay, so the motion is carried. So we'll expect that the questions will be gathered by December 1st. I don't believe that we'll meet before that, so I guess we'll collect them via email.
Who should we send them to? Should we send them to Cameron or to somebody else?
Are you
Good
speaking
question.
about your survey questions, Paulina?
Yes. Yes.
The survey questions should be sent to you, I would say, as secretary.
Yeah, to the secretary.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put my email on the chat in case somebody needs it.
Okay, sent to Paulina. Okay. There's something else. All right. Now we need to this also. Well, we'll deal with that after we get the questions in. We won't deal with it just now.
And
Now-
Travis, we did skip over collegiate trust talks.
Yeah, I was telling you we did. There was a little side thing. The resources that were just spoken about. Would anybody like to do some research on some of the resources that we can make available, whether it be for housing or for hunger? So that when we get these answers in, that we'll be able to guide them to resources that will be able to assist them.
We
Any
do
cap?
have Ms. Tiffany, who has, like I said, she's heavily involved
Oh, that's right.
on her side. So perhaps, Ms. Tiffany, could we lean on you for any resources that you may have already listed and developed that we could include on the survey for the food?
I was going to say there are different universities across the state who have done this in different ways, and a few of them are actually doing ones related to COVID and hunger. And so I think we can pull from that to see what's applicable for us. So I'm happy to pull those.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I also have access to some food desert maps and census tract information, but if there's anything that you all think that you need, feel free to send me an email, and chances are I might have it or know someone who does.
Thank you. That is all.
Thank you.
And as far as housing is concerned, our department does have a list of housing resources as well. And so that's something that we would be able to help with in terms of making sure that people know where to go to avoid homelessness and any kind of temporary housing.
Ms. Wanda, also last year, I think we didn't do it. I think Yak did. Will we be making a PSA after we, in concern of of this, so for everyone?
You said, will we be making a PSA? That is something that CAB could recommend. If CAB would like to recommend that, because we're looking for recommendations from you all right now, because we're so early on with this grant project. And so if that's something that everyone if you come to consensus about that and you vote and approve, then that's a recommendation.
Right. Does everybody know what a PSA is? Okay.
No, I was about to ask what it was.
Okay. So PSA is a public service announcement. I'm not sure if it's still on the site, Ms. Wanda, but I believe the YAC made one in 2018. Is it still up?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it's accessible on our website.
So if you get the opportunity, you might want to look at that to see kind of, the gist of what a PSA looks like. And they did a really good job. Let me tell you, they did.
A PSA is basically a commercial. It's like an ad where you just talking about, you're trying to send a message, a specific message, and it's really brief. It's usually no longer than 30 seconds or so.
I guess after we gather the information, we could kind of, if CAB would like to, we could generate some type of PSA form and go from there. But first things first, right?
Right.
Okay. I don't know if we've exhausted that conversation, but I think we're going to move on. And we need to talk about the Collegiate Trust Talks. All right. So does everybody remember what we talked about the last time when we referenced Collegiate Trust Talks?
I remember you explained it with Ms. Wanda. You explained what it was and what its purpose was as well.
Any other comments?
Can one of y'all bring me up to speed on that, please?
Okay. Ms. Wanda, you want me to give my side of it, or you want to jump in?
Whatever your pleasure.
Okay. So
Briefly, we have to make it brief. Yeah,
from the students' perspective, it was just a simple kind of a symposium where the college students, as well as the local law enforcement, in our case, it was the district attorney, as well as campus police and city police, where we get an opportunity to engage them about ways to make our campus safer, have a thorough understanding of the relationship between students as well as community and law enforcement. And we generated questions to present to them, and they also had questions that presented to us. And that's the short form of it. And Ms. Wanda, you can go.
That's it. You did well, Curtis.
So
the question is, do you all want to do a Collegiate Trust Talks in the spring? Because it does bring together all of your campuses and universities, including your, like Curtis said, including your respective police forces and the cities, to talk about issues that are relevant to your age group. So if you're interested in doing a spring one, it's usually in March or April of each year. Okay, thank you, Myra.
Yes.
We'd need to take a quick vote if you all want to do
a
motion and so forth, and we can talk about it at the next meeting.
Yeah. So anyone want to make a motion to have another collegiate 2021 Collegiate Trust Talks? Will someone make a motion?
I second the motion.
I guess I made it. All right, so you can take a vote, Pauline.
Myra Ramirez.
Yay.
Sophie Brown.
Yay.
Curtis Walker.
Yay.
Bruce Williams III.
Yay.
Jadavian King.
Yay.
I think we lost Allie Morton.
Yeah, she said she had class at 3:15.
Okay, so any nays?
You need to vote, Paulina.
Oh, sorry. Paulina Page, yay.
Okay. Any nays? Okay, the motion carries unanimously. So we will, I guess, tentatively talk about that at our next meeting. I think the next thing on our agenda would be the fall newsletter deadline. Real quick, Ms. Jamie, do you have a date that you need?
I actually just sent to you the first draft of the newsletter, so you all can look that over. But we will. if you all don't have any issues with it, there's some like little tweaks I'll probably do, but otherwise, if you all don't have any issues with the content and stuff, then we will go ahead and get that on the website.
Perhaps
Okay.
maybe we should give CAB a moment to look at the draft, and if they don't have it, is there a way to share it on the screen?
Sure. Let me see here. Let me open it and then I can share it.
While she's getting that ready, Ms. Wanda, do you know about any of the upcoming events?
Do I know about any of the upcoming events?
Right.
We do not have anything coming up that would be outside of what you all have already discussed.
Okay.
We are planning a virtual, some of you participated in the virtual, in the past, you participated in the Human Relations Student Awards Banquet, but of course that's going to be virtual for 2021. But in MLK things, of course, we already talked about. So really it's just going to be on a standby basis in terms of what we may have coming up. But rest assured that for the near future, for the foreseeable future, it'll be virtual, whatever.
Wow, that looks really good, Ms. Jamie.
Thank you. I do see, I know I need to update the UNC SA name, student name. So that's one thing I know.
So just want to see. All right, that's page 1.
Yep. Let me see. There we go. I was like, why can't I get it to change? There we go.
Okay.
And I need to update the city council as well.
Okay.
If you would like me to provide a picture for mine, that would be nice. I can do that. I'll do it right now.
Thank you so much, Bruce. That would be perfect.
Right. I don't have any problems with it.
So we need a vote to approve the fall newsletter draft, because understand there will be revisions as needed.
Yeah. Can everybody see it? Yes. All right, so I'll personally make a motion to approve the fall newsletter draft pending additions by Ms. Jamie. And Ms. Paulina, can you second it?
I second the motion.
Excellent. Can you take the vote?
Yes. Myra Ramirez,
Yay.
Sophie Brown,
Yay.
Curtis Walker,
Yay.
Bruce Williams III,
Yay.
Paulina Page, yay. Andy Nays,
Jadavian?
Davian is not in the call anymore.
Okay. All right. The motion carries unanimously. Okay, so we need to discuss the last thing on the agenda would be the next meeting date.
Do you all want to make the deadline date for your survey questions a meeting? As it could be a brief meeting, as I know you all have finals, but you could meet on that date so that you can vote to approve, to select and approve the survey questions. And that can be the only thing
Yeah.
to discuss.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. December the 1st at 2 o'clock is that sounds good for everybody.
At 2 o'clock?
Yeah, like today.
Okay, we're looking at the
Today.
calendar to see if our marketing and communications department can live stream on that date and time.
Okay.
So it's pending?
So it does show that there is a 2 o'clock meeting that day. It doesn't say if it's virtual or not, but
Mr. Bell, can you hear us? Can you tell us whether or not December 1st in the afternoon would work for you? I know that we see a meeting.
He's muted.
2 o'clock is when we've been meeting. It looks like there's a public art commission. I don't know if that comes through virtual or not.
Okay. I am to. So can we go ahead and secure that spot, Mr. Bell? CAB recommended 2 o'clock on December 1st. Okay, no problem.
Bruce is no longer upside down.
My bad. I sent you the picture for the newsletter too.
Thank you so much, Bruce.
Mhm.
Oh, great picture.
Okay. Okay, do you all have a backup time that you would like to recommend for that day? To
4
Ms.
o'clock?
We can go 3.
Okay. So Mr. Bell, their backup time was 3 o'clock that day, if that would help any? Oh, okay,
Depending.
okay,
That's fair.
okay, so we will,
Myra's at 12.
we'll keep you all updated, CAB, on the time on December 1st.
Okay. And then at that meeting, we'll also vote for our official meeting. Does that work?
Say that again?
The normal meeting, since that meeting will only be a short meeting just to discuss the survey, then our normal meeting will be, we'll vote it on that day as well.
We'll see what happens, because depending on what you all need to discuss, that may be your December meeting.
That works. So, I guess that concludes everything. So we don't need to make a motion for that date. Somebody
You
make a
really
motion.
do. I wasn't gonna say it, but you really should. That'll be your last vote until you vote to adjourn. I know y'all.
Pending. Okay, somebody make a motion for the tentative scheduling date at December 1st at approximately 2 or 3. Will someone make a motion for that meeting?
A motion.
Someone
I second that motion.
Excellent. And the vote on it, Paulina.
Myra Ramirez,
Yeah.
Okay.
Sophie Brown,
Yay.
Curtis Walker,
Yay.
Bruce Williams III,
Yeah.
Paulina Page, yay. Any nays? Thank you.
And the motion carries. So we have a tentatively scheduled meeting at December 1st, either at 2 or 3, or possibly at a different time upon further information. So will someone make a motion to adjourn the meeting until then?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Thank you. And someone second the motion.
I second.
Thank you. And Pauline, will you take the vote?
Myra Ramirez,
Yay.
Sophie Brown,
Yay.
Curtis Walker,
Yay.
Bruce Williams III,
Yay.
Paulina Page, yay. Any nays? Thank you.
All right. And so this motion, the meeting will be adjourned. And Paulina, when you do the minutes, could you be mindful to include the tentative date for members that are not here?
Can you repeat that again, please?
When you're doing the minutes, can you be mindful to include the tentative scheduled date for the next meeting in the minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this time, the meeting is adjourned until approximately December 1st at either 2 or 3 p.m. We'd like to thank all the CAB members for being here and taking part in the discussion, as well as our distinguished guests that came in.
Thank you, CAB.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great
Thanksgiving. Stay
you.
safe.
Happy Thanksgiving. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.